Good. I am Dr. Shantae Shorter. I am the founder and CEO of the Luvnme2lyfe Center. And I started this organization to not just help with suicide prevention, but to heal Black families because of the experiences that I had as a child that drove me to suicide within my family. So I understood at a very early age that it was the family dynamic that was driving me to want to hurt myself and no longer be here. And so I'm going to start by introducing myself. Then we'll get into the actual healing circle, which will consist of a body scan. We'll do a short meditation to get everybody relaxed. I'm going to lead you through that meditation step by step. And then we're going to have a group discussion. That's what the healing circle is. The healing circle is a group discussion where everybody within the circle participates, is invested, and is given the space to be able to unload that, whatever it is that is on your heart that, that arises in the moment. So since the focus is suicide and suicide prevention, I'll have a few questions to prompt the circle, but what ultimately will happen is we will just have a normal conversation and let that conversation flow, but there will be some norms for that conversation. So I normally have a talking piece, but I don't have it with me today. So we're just going to set the norm that when somebody's speaking, nobody else is speaking, right? And we're just going to go around in order and give everybody an opportunity to speak and share. And I will moderate. We will go through each question. I will shift us to the next question as needed, and we'll close out with a meditation because this process of being able to open up like this also requires us to be able to come to some type of closure when we're done. Okay, so that's what this experience is going to entail. If you do not have a brochure for my organization, just raise your hand and I'll just come around real quickly and provide those for you. So some of the information that I provide in the brochure talks about ACEs. There's a QR code there if you ever want to volunteer with the organization. And then there's another QR code where you can actually take the ACEs survey, which I'm going to talk to you more about, and learn about your oh. You can take the ACEs survey, learn what your ACEs score is. You can also learn about the level of resilience that you may possess, right? So I'm going to get into all those details right now. So let me start by introducing myself. I am Dr. Shantae Shorter. Some people may know me as I am the lowest when I am in my spiritual goddess mode and just coaching people and providing guidance around alchemy, psychology, and herbalism. So I am a holistic healer, and that is that's my for-profit business. My nonprofit business is the Luvnme2lyfe Center, but I do have a 9-to-5. I'm an educator. I have worked as an educator in Metro for the past 10 years. So I have been in this role and on the front line with Black families grappling with childhood trauma, traumas in the community, and all of the different things that we have to deal with as Black people in a country that was not designed, that was essentially built on our backs. Okay, and so we'll get into some of those topics or whatever. But how did I get to the point where I founded this organization? Well, long time, not that long ago, because I'm only 35. But when I was younger, I experienced a lot of trauma. And by the time I had reached the age of 13, I was already a 10 on the ACE scale. There are 10 categories on the ACE scale that Kaiser Permanente talks about in their research. And if you just have one of those experiences in your lifetime, it has the capability to reduce how long you live and to also cause issues with your health, in regards to everything from blood pressure to diabetes to cancer to mental health issues, okay? It has the ability to cause chemical imbalances if you are not, if it's not addressed, okay? So that's the mission of my nonprofit. The mission of my nonprofit is to prevent those adverse childhood experiences for youth and to reverse the side effects of those adverse childhood experiences in adults who are trying to grapple in a world that is, it's not always friendly to us, okay? So, Kaiser Permanente did this study years back. They created these 10 categories. Within these categories, there's abuse, there's neglect, and I forget the third category. But some of the things that they say will affect you as a child would be experiencing divorce, experiencing living in a household with someone who has been in prison, experiencing living in a household with somebody who has mental health. Of course, the abuse ranges from sexual abuse to, physical abuse to mental abuse, emotional neglect, being left home alone, not having food, having to fend for yourself, having to raise yourself in a lot of different cases. There was an organization in Philadelphia who expanded the study because these 10 categories pale in comparison to what Black people experience. And they do not factor in the trauma that we have experienced generationally and historically, right? The trauma of slavery lives in our veins. It's in our DNA. And it comes out in various different ways, okay? It's called eugenics. And what typically happens is research has shown that an individual who has gone through trauma and it has experienced trauma can then have a child and give that child everything that they never had and make sure that that child never experiences what they have experienced, and that child still has a propensity to have some type of behavioral defects, some type of chemical imbalance, some type of, disorder that they will have to struggle with because trauma implants itself on the DNA. It encodes itself on the DNA. So when we talk about generational curses, that's what we're talking about, okay? So that's why you have generations of families who, they don't talk about the abuse. They go from generation to generation, not ever talking about wealth, not ever establishing a business, not ever having a successful marriage come through that family. These are all things that help to create healthy communities. My mom was a victim of that. I was a victim of that. My grandmother was a victim of that. My great-grandmother was a victim of that. And as Black people, we're more likely to be victims of that because society has created laws, has created institutions, and has created all kinds of, obstacles for us that range from mass incarceration to the war on drugs to the civil rights movement, all the way back to slavery. Every generation that has been in this country of Black people has experienced some type of intentional trauma that has been designed to mess you up, to distract you, to keep you from being able to compete on the same level, right? And every single day that we're out here, we're dealing with those different kinds of attacks, and we're vulnerable because we don't know how to protect ourselves, because we're not educated, we're not aware, and we don't know how to heal ourselves. So back to me at the age of 13. By the time I was 13 years old, I had been molested by multiple people in my force. I had experienced physical abuse. I had experienced neglect. I had experienced divorce. I had uncles who were in and out of the house who were in prison. I had a stepfather who actually was like a father figure in my life who went away for 12 years when I was in the 4th grade. All of these things affected me at a level to where I felt out of control. And my mom had the best intentions. My mom and my dad, they both came from traumatic childhood experiences. My mom grew up in the projects of Chicago. My dad grew up in Greenville, Mississippi. They met in the military. So you take a country boy and a city girl together who both want to experience what it feels like to have a happy family, but have no tools of how to make it happen, and a whole bunch of trauma that they're trying to work through. And you got a toxic situation that ended in divorce. They tried valiantly. They got married and they got divorced twice. They really tried, but it didn't help. And when it was all said and done, my mom took us back to Illinois with her. My dad went on his way, and my sister and I were left with a plethora of complexes. Not having your daddy in your life, watching your mom and dad go back and forth and argue, being exposed to adult conversations that put complexes in your mind and make you feel unwanted. You're hearing about things that you shouldn't hear about. So as a young child, you're creating ideas about what their reality is, when really you're not even old enough yet to even be trying to deal with those kinds of things. That's what I was dealing with by the age of 10. So my mom decided that Illinois was too dangerous. It was too dangerous. She woke up one day and she saw a young boy running through our neighborhood, and he was gunned down over the fence across from our house. And at that point, she decided it was time to move down to Tennessee. So she brought us to Memphis, and being a single mother with all of her trauma and not having an income took its toll. So whenever she would get stressed out, she would get abusive in a lot of different ways. Now, later in life, we had our conversations about that, and we made our peace with that. And my mom's relationship with me, that's one of my most prized relationships that I've ever had in life, because we took that journey of healing together. But it took its toll on me at that time, to the point so I was calling home and telling the family about what was going on, and they were just telling me to pray about it. So I was talking to people in the community, and while they were trying to give me advice, it wasn't helpful. I was running away from home, trying to find safe spaces to be, and found out that when you're a runaway, you can get put in juvenile detention. And so I felt powerless. And so I just wanted to take back control of my life. And I wanted to make my mother feel the pain that I felt from what she was putting me through. And so I tried on a couple of different occasions with pills. The first time, it wasn't enough. I didn't like it, and I didn't do it again. But then I started playing around with ideation of hurting myself. That was too gory, and I didn't like that either. But then things continued to get worse and worse and worse, to where I wanted to be more determined to be successful at committing suicide. And so the next time I tried with pills again, I did my best to make sure I took enough that was going to take me out. And the night that I did it, my mom wasn't home. My sister was in the other room. And I just remember sitting in church and hearing my pastor say, if you ever find yourself in a situation, you ever wonder why you try to commit suicide, you experience a near-death experience, and you don't die, it's because you got a purpose in your life. And so at that point, I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. I'm gonna take these pills, and I'm going to relieve myself of this stress, and I'm gonna get back at my mom. And if I wake up the next day, then that means I'm meant to be here and I have a purpose for my life. Well, I'm here today because I woke up the next morning and I asked myself at the age of 13, God, why would you allow me to be forced to live through abuse and suffer when I'm not a bad child? And I was given the message that I was gonna heal Black families. I was going to teach mothers how to be mothers, teach daughters how to be daughters, teach sisters how to be sisters, fathers, and so on. And so I kept that purpose in my heart for all those years until I got into college, and I started putting it into action when I got into college. And so I started taking classes that helped me to understand behavior. And then I went to the schools, and I started using my education to help students. And I started using that education to heal myself and be an advocate for myself, because I realized that the trauma that I had experienced made me vulnerable to abusive employers, racist employers, sexist employers. I'm standing here today as somebody who has survived multiple cases of sexual harassment and issues of racism and workplace discrimination every single year that I have been with my employer. How many people in here have been in that kind of situation where you was on the job and you knew they was racist, you knew they didn't have your best interest at heart, you knew they didn't care about you, but you had to be there anyway because you didn't have nowhere else to go? That's the kind of situation that I was in. And so I survived that as well. And I kept working on my nonprofit, and here I am today, speaking with you all and helping people out the best way that I can, and coming up with creative ways to rebuild the Black village. Because if we can just be frank about it, we're not good to each other. We don't treat each other well. We're not good families, and that's why we don't have strong communities. A lot of it is not our fault, because we've been pumped up with drugs, we done had to deal with discrimination, we don't get, economic, equality and all of those things. But a lot of it is because once we know better, we don't do better, because it's easier to be hurt. It's easier to be angry. It's easier to inflict pain on somebody else who's weaker than you. And we do it every single day. And it just continues to be a cycle. So, today is designed to take you through what I created is called the Rise Pillars of Transcendence. That after I received the message that day at the age of 13 to heal Black families, I then began to go through a series of questions about, okay, how am I going to be able to survive this? And that's where the Rise Pillars of Transcendence came to life. I didn't name it until years later, but I started to live by this model. So RISE is an acronym, and it stands for certain things. So the first thing I asked myself is, okay, I can't control this situation. I'm powerless. So what is going on around me that I can control, and what can I do to protect myself from what I have to deal with? And so that's the R. That's the realizing. Realizing, reevaluating, and readjusting as needed. Okay. Then I went on and once I identified what those things were, I began to think about how to protect myself. So the I represents insulating. What are the things that you can do on a daily basis to protect your mind, to protect your heart, to protect your self-esteem, to protect your physical health? The S stands for speaking your truth. If you bottle in everything that happens to you, then it creates cancer in the body. It creates high blood pressure. It manifests in all different kinds of health issues that then we go into a medical system that don't care about us and just ready to kill us anyway. So these methods are designed to help you, to help prevent you getting to the place where you need to be in an institution that's really just designed to pump you with drugs and ship you on out in a body bag where they're gonna put you. They get paid off of it. So the S is about speaking your truth. And this one is very important. You don't speak your truth to everybody. Because there were a lot of times where I spoke my truth and I got attacked. There were times where I spoke my truth and a predator saw that as an opportunity to use me as a walking wheel, to use my body, to use my mind, to use whatever resources I had at that opportunity, at that time, that would have benefited them. And the E is about elevating. So once you've spoken your truth and you have your plan of how you're going to protect your energy, elevating is about knowing better and doing better. Go find a support system. Go find the people you can talk to without being judged. Go find the church that's going to help you and protect you and support you. If you are into different types of spirituality, go find your crystals, get your herbs, do your detoxes. All these online groups and Facebook groups. We in these groups every day talking about the celebrities and the gender wars and all these other things. But how many of us actually go on Facebook and find a group that helps us with our Your algorithm is going to continue to feed you what you vote for. So if you choose to click on the love and hip hop and all that, and the fighting and the Maury and all of that, it's gonna continue to, okay, this is what they like, we're gonna send them more of those videos. If you continue to comment on the memes that talk about the gender wars and you watching the videos that's showing our black people getting killed in cold blood by police officers and all those things, then the algorithm is gonna give you more and more of that. So you choose what the internet feeds you. That's about your elevation. So once you know better and you know what it takes to transition and transform yourself out of where you want to be, then you got to do better. And that part is hard. Because you got all these habits, you got all these beliefs, you got this environment of people around you who don't want to see you do better because now they feel like they misery loves company. They ain't got their company no more. So, we're going to go through that process today. We're going to do a body scan and do a meditation, and we're going to then we're going to get into our healing circle and our conversation, and I'm interested to hear some of you all's your stories. So is it already done? Yeah. All right. Hey, look at that. Helping us out. Okay, so at this time, I need everybody to sit up in their seats. Straighten your spine. Make sure that your feet are firmly planted on the ground and find a comfortable place for your hands, whether it be on the table, whether it be in your lap. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to work our way up from our roots all the way up to our crown with breathing exercises. So if you're not comfortable closing your eyes in this moment, find a place to focus as we do these breathing exercises. So we're going to start with some inhalations and some exhalations, okay? So when you inhale, I want you to inhale and make sure that the air is breathed and filling up your belly. You should feel it filling up your belly, and you should feel it pushing against your spine in the back if you're doing it. So I recommend breathing through your nose, inhaling through your nose. I like to inhale through my nose and my mouth because it brings in more air. Do that for about 3 to 5 seconds. And then we're going to push out. So let's try that first. Let's do 3 strong inhales and 3 strong exhales. And then we're going to focus on the meditation. Inhale at this time. Give me 2 more good ones. So as you're inhaling and exhaling, you should feel your body begin to relax. You want your shoulders to relax. You want your hips, your ankles, your feet, and everything to relax. On this next round of breathing, we're going to focus on our feet, our ankles, our legs. And as we're breathing in and breathing out, we're just going to send a message to that area to relax. So try it at this time. We're going to work our way up to our ankles and our hips. Our knees and our hips. Take some more deep breaths. We're going to instruct that area to relax at this time. Make sure you get in that area where it's filling up your belly. Give me 2 more good ones. Fill up your belly and release. Command those hips to relax. All right, now we're focusing on our abdomen, our hands, our elbows. Inhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, relax. Moving our way up to our chest, our shoulders, our neck. Inhale. Exhale. Relax. Working our way up to our throat, our neck, our temples. Inhale. See if you can get the air to fill up in your chest now. Direct the air to your chest. Exhale. Relax. Give me one more big, deep inhale to the point to where your chest is expanding. You feel your chest expanding. Focus on those shoulders and neck. And those areas to relax. We're going to do some affirmations. You can whisper it to yourself. You can say it out loud. Whatever it is that you want to do. First affirmation we're going to speak to ourselves is, I am safe. I am among community. I am capable of giving and receiving healthy love. I am empowered to take control of my healing. Now you can slowly bring yourself back to this moment. Open your eyes slowly. Loosen your body up, move around, get the blood flowing. Come back to consciousness. And now we're going to get into the healing circle. So the reason why I took you all through that process is because when we're stressed out, our body goes into what's called fight or flight. And depending on how you respond in a stressful situation, you might want to fight. You might want to physically fight. You might want to fight by cussing somebody out, yelling, whatever the case may be. Or you might want to sleep. You might want to walk away. Maybe you freeze up and you can't even say nothing anymore. When you're stressed out, doing that body scan exercise and focus on the different parts of your body helps your heart to calm down, and it helps your mind to get out of anxiety. So that's just one tangible strategy that you can use on a daily basis, especially if you have been in a space where you feel like you want to commit suicide. Okay, so let's get into the healing circle itself. And because this part is so sacred and protected, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log off of the live, because what we say here stays here. Okay, so give me one moment and then we're going to get into the norms.